Hey, my friends, before we start this podcast, I just want to ask you a favor. Can you like and follow this podcast on whatever platform that you're listening to it? The more followers that we have, the more people that get a chance to see us, and the more ways that we can continue to evangelize. So before we begin, I'm just going to ask that you follow this podcast wherever you're listening, and maybe if you enjoy it, I would ask you to share it as well with someone you love. Hi, my friends, and welcome back to another edition of the Faith and Real Life Podcast. My name is Greg Wasinski. If we haven't met before, just call me Greg. I'm here to walk with you, to be your friend, and to be somebody who might guide you back to the faith or take what you've already learned and apply real life application to your relationship with whether it's church or your learning or your prayer life. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you've been. I'm just interested in helping you along the way. And I've been doing this now for almost 20 years on the radio since 2005. That's right. Before we called it podcasting, we called it radio. But in ministry, I've been doing it now 16 years. And one thing that I can tell you is that we're not going to get to a point where we have it all together. There's always going to be a time and place where we don't know the right answer, we're not feeling completely connected with Christ, or we're just searching through the darkness for some light. And so what we have to do is we have to know that we have other people that walk with us. We have to look for the opportunities for God to show up in our lives Monday through Saturday, and to allow faith and real life to come together. And that's really where I'm taking today's podcast as I think about Easter, right? We just had our Easter Mass. It doesn't matter when you're listening to this, but at least you'll have context. But it is the week after Easter, and I loved seeing so many people in church during Easter. You know, maybe it's some of the services that lead up during Holy Week, all of Lent, really. Like, I don't know if many Catholics know this, but like Ash Wednesday is not a holy day of obligation. You don't have to go and get your ashes. You don't, it's not something the church demands that you do, or it's not even written as something that, if you don't do it, you'll be in trouble. But yet, people come out of the woodwork just to get their ashes. And so I find that really interesting. Like, people who don't go to church all the time, or people who maybe haven't gone in a while, they decide that they really need to get their ashes to start the holy season, right? And it's a reminder of who they belong to. So now I fast forward to where we are in Easter. And again, the churches are filled way more than they are on a weekly basis, which is beautiful to see. Now, some people, they get upset, right? They're like, oh man, this person came, they sat in my pew. I really didn't like them being there because they just show up and yada, yada, yada. Look, people are a lot of work. I know that. And we have to do our best to look beyond the humanness and to remember the beauty of church. But here's my thing. So now what? Right? You went to church. You experienced this community moment. You experienced the beauty of Holy Communion. If you're Catholic, you found some way to worship and to celebrate the Lord. And then something in us, if we don't go all the time, says, yeah, that was nice, but it wasn't good enough. So today is really about that question. So now what? What's next? And in order to do that, I want to identify why some people go, maybe why you went, and then to help all of us think about what do we do next in order to move forward. I am somebody who walked away from the church for 4 years, right? This isn't like I'm some ministry guy and my whole life's been about Jesus and I had strong youth ministry, or, I was just born in this level of sainthood and loved the church all the time. No. As a young adult, as a married man, I walked away from the church for 4 years. I still hold guilt about that. There's a whole lot of other stories and podcasts that I could get into, or live presentations. But the fact of the matter is that I can relate to why some people stop going to church. I can also relate to why some people go back to it. But my question, like, for you now, because I'm trying to talk to who I was at that time, like, didn't you feel anything? Like, when you went there, what did you enjoy most about it? Did you meet somebody new? Did you appreciate maybe seeing people that you saw when you grew up, when you went back to your home church? What is it about it that made you attend Mass on Easter? Because you didn't have to, right? I mean, if you don't go all the time, this was a choice you made to go to church. But if you went to church, why don't you want to continue to return? And I want to take humanness, I want to take the human element out of that reason or excuse, right? Because nobody should ever rob you of your faith. No human person should ever make you so angry or should push you over the edge to the point that you no longer go to church at all. Like, I could understand if you don't want to go to a specific church. I can understand if somebody that hurt you so deeply you have trouble forgiving or you just haven't forgotten. And when you go to their worship, something bothers you. I get it, and I'm totally there. But it shouldn't keep you from going to church all the time. So there's a couple different reasons why people attend church. Number one is I think that some people go during the holidays or on a specific time of year just to please their parents or their grandparents, maybe, or somebody who was a custodian or they're taking care of them. That is one reason why people go. We go because the people that we love would really appreciate if we're there. So that's a very respectable reason. Number two, you might go because you want to go as a family. You have little kids, everybody gets dressed up, you have your new suit, and you get there and you just love being together and it's cute and the kids are appreciating it, or maybe they're frustrating you. Maybe your children had a rough time and that's why you don't want to go back because you feel like you're not paying attention. But you went as a family. So this was a time that you saw the importance of celebrating this beautiful opportunity to see that the Lord is risen. And that's why you went. Maybe you went because a friend invited you. Somebody that you know said, hey, we like to go to this church. Maybe you should try it. And you go to please your friend. You're like, hey, I trust that person, and I'm going to go to that church and I'm going to try it out. The last reason that we'll discuss today, or that I just highlight, is there are a lot of people where there's something inside of them that is hurting or broken or looking for a moment of joy. And so they want to be part of a mass or a worship service that gives them hope. And Easter is all about hope. Like, if you give, as a priest, if you give a bad homily at Easter, you really blew it. Like, there's not going to be a lot of chance. I mean, this is like the Super Bowl, the golden goose of homilies or some type of preaching. But there had to be some reason that there is hope in your life. There's something that you're searching for, and a moment where you decide that you want something better. So you went during the holiest time of the year when somebody is trying to help you.
Now, more than ever, we need to pause and take time away to reconnect with what's most important. The Trilogy Retreat property is a unique bed and breakfast style retreat experience for those who have never been on retreat before or anyone who regularly takes advantage of retreat opportunities. This private 24-acre property is a special place, allowing you to slip away from the rest of the world and discover God in the way your soul needs. Whether your stay is in an individual room or the privacy of our guest cottage, you'll have full access to an array of amenities. Trilogy offers retreat experiences for individuals, couples, families, and organizations to grow in their faith. During your time away, take advantage of fishing the 2-acre lake. walk the reflection trail through the woods, or spend time by the fire. Found in the heart of Southington, Ohio, the Trilogy Retreat property is easily located between Cleveland and Youngstown. To discover all Trilogy has to offer, visit our website, trilogy.center. No matter what your reason for visiting, the staff at Trilogy is ready to help you write the rest of your story.
So I mentioned my story, right? And the reason that I said that I stopped going to church was because I had little children and they weren't paying attention. And it was the wrong reason to stop going to church. Luckily, my wife continued to go to church and continued to take our kids while I sat at home. And I was being very selfish about the reasons that I wasn't going to church. It was more about my own feeling sad for myself, really, is what it was about. Because I couldn't hear what was going on. And I was using that as an excuse because, quite frankly, I wasn't paying much attention to the readings when I was showing up before I had children. So they were just the excuse that I could finally use to stop going. But I could tell you as a young father, I started to feel guilt because there my wife was at church. She was actually singing in the church. So she's holding both children, and I'm sitting at home not participating. And let me tell you, it is not the best example for your family when someone who is supposed to be a leader, somebody who is supposed to be setting the example, is sitting at home. And so finally, my wife moved churches without me. Like she said, if you're not going to go to church, I don't want to go to this type of church anymore. I want to go closer to where we live. And it was that move that actually brought me back to church. Not because I hated stuff about the old church. It was just about that was a challenge that, oh, you're just going to leave me behind and you're going to develop this faith. And so the pride in me said, hey, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to start to go with you. And secondly, it really was the beauty of God's love that I allowed in for the first time. See, I had to get a little uncomfortable. I had to find a new surrounding. So I wasn't sitting in the same pew. I wasn't going to the same place. I didn't have all those old memories that were holding me back. By being in a new environment, still in the Catholic faith, I found myself seeing Christ in a new way. I found myself experiencing community. So my question to you is, why aren't you going? I mean, you have to desire something. Your heart and soul really wants you to be there. The desire for God is written on the human heart, and you know that you need that, and you have these moments of joy, or you have these moments where you experience God's love. But what happens without church is we begin to write them off because we just see them as coincidences, or we see them as something, out of the ordinary, or an everyday miracle that somehow we forget as we go along that it was God at work in our lives. And we just equate it to that's life. So my question to you is, now what? Now what do we do in order to feed our heart and soul? How do we find ourselves in a place with another set of people that are looking for the same thing? And it's not 1950 anymore. I don't think that people are being judged the same way. Yes, you'll always have people that want to look at the outsider and maybe ask dumb questions about who are you, where you been. All those things will still happen. But for the most part, this isn't the judgy church that maybe you think it is, or you found that it used to be when you stopped going. So you have something that you desire in your life, something that you want to feed. And so that's one reason to go. So the number one to return is to just simply allow your heart to be changed and allow your soul to be fed. That would be number one. Number two is that you are a living example, right? And there are loved ones, whether they're friends, whether they're children, whether they're spouses, whether they're somebody you're dating, doesn't matter who it is. You have loved ones who are looking up to you and following your living example. The statistic is that 80% of parents want their children to have faith. 80% want their children to have faith, but only 20% are willing to actively walk with them in that journey. How can our kids have faith? How can people that we love honor or believe what we're saying if we tell them to do something, but then we don't do it ourselves? So the second reason that we have to go is to lead our loved ones and to show them the way. And sometimes the Lord uses those opportunities to change our own heart. We think we're going for someone else. We think we're doing something to please someone, and we find ourselves being changed in the process. And maybe you felt some of that, or maybe you saw a loved one feel that during the Easter season. It's very possible. So the third reason I'm going to really lay it down for you is this. What are you so afraid of? What is it that is keeping you from allowing yourself to surrender to something beautiful? Right? I mean, you want what's best. You want happiness. And the only true pathway to happiness as somebody who walked away from God's love, as somebody who thought they were unlovable, as somebody who felt unwanted, I can tell you the only way to God's love is by attending His church, by being with other believers. You know, the book of Ephesians talks that God appointed, Christ appointed the apostles to have different roles. God gives His people different roles. It doesn't mean that you need to go to church and be a reader, or that you need to be an usher, or you need to be involved in some way. The first step is for you to just show up. Are you afraid that you're going to have to give up a piece of yourself that lives a life that's less than virtuous, or even being defined as sinful? Is it really going to change you in a way that maybe makes you more accountable for your actions? Is that what you're afraid of? Because I can tell you this from my own life. Everything that you give up, everything that you experience in life that God gives you is way greater than anything that you're holding back from Him, or anything that you might be afraid of happening that is going to keep you from a good time. It's truth. So stop being afraid. Stop worrying about everybody else. Stop making the excuses, and give yourself the opportunity to have the best life possible. And the fourth reason that I'll share today is this. Community really does change everything. I mean, why am I talking to you about this today? I'm there. Like, it doesn't matter to me if you go at the end of the day, and I know that sounds terrible, but it's true. Like, I don't need you to go because I'm going. I want you to go. I want you to be there and experience. You know why? Because someday I might need you. I might need you to be there. You might be at my church, and my life is at a certain point. Something has happened, and your living example is what makes me better that day. Not what was preached, but what was lived as the body of Christ. Maybe somebody else needs you to be there. If you're like, hey, I'm good. I pray at home. I do all my stuff. Like, I'm good. But there's somebody else in the building. There's somebody else in the church of God that is waiting for you to show up and to be the hands and feet of Jesus for them. And at certain times, you're going to be the one who needs them. Community is invaluable. We can't walk alone. We can't look at our screens and find things that just make us happy. We can't look at apps and read the prayers or do the meditations and be like, I'm good. Like, that's all that I needed to do, because we need that community to keep us accountable when we may go wayward. We need that community to allow us to grow in our own faith. And we need that community so that we can be the person that God is calling us to be for someone else. There's a great quote by Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick. And he says, "We cannot live for ourselves. 1,000 fibers connect us with our fellow man." I love that quote. 1,000 fibers connect us. We don't know the future. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. But we do know that there are people that have fed us in some way. And yes, at some point, some of these people have disappointed us. But it's never a reason to give up. It's never a reason to quit. So what's next? You went to church. You found yourself at Mass. It was a great experience, hopefully. Or maybe it wasn't. So go to the next place. But don't let anybody rob you of that. What's next is for you to take this time of resurrection, this opportunity that you got to experience Jesus and his hope that says bad times won't last, his hope that says if you believe in me, it's truth, and that if you follow me, I promise you that there's a space in my Father's house in heaven. Take that. That is what is next. And begin to find yourself on a slow journey. Not walking back to church and then that week feeling like you're going to start some mission work in India. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about taking a single step, being open to the word of God that is preached, keeping your eyes open for the people around you that need you and who you might need, and then taking that experience and being involved so that you become changed. There is nothing to be afraid of. There's no excuses to make. And it's just an opportunity for you to find joy, peace, and happiness. Everything that we look for, everything that we try to find in social media, every book that we read, every deal that we sell, every way we do our vocation, we're doing it to find peace and joy. There should never be, and there isn't a moment, when God isn't by your side telling you that he loves you and wants you to know that. And we need to be in his house, in his Father's house, in order to live this life successfully. So, my friends, that's what I have for you today. And that's what I wanted you to know. So, my friends, that's what I have for you today. I want you to experience the beauty of church, not because anybody's telling you, not because you feel like you're going to go to hell if you don't go. I want you to go to find joy. And so living our faith and real life experience is about taking what we learned Monday through Saturday, bringing it to the Lord on Sunday, and letting us feel his love, finding answers to our questions, and growing in every opportunity to become holier in the process. I want to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please, please, please share it with somebody that you know and somebody that you love. It's the only way that we continue to grow as a ministry. If you want to make a donation or find more inspiration, we have lots of audio, video, and blogs at faithandreallife.com. That's where you can find the rest of these podcasts. And you can even share this podcast through the podcast platforms, or you can send the link via the website. But please follow our podcast. We really, really appreciate it. And the last thing that you can do is if you want to take a retreat, you heard our sponsor, Trilogy Retreat Property. We'd love to host you and have you for a time to renew your soul, whether you attend church regularly or it's just once a year. But we would love to have you and help you grow closer to find peace and joy. God bless you. God keep you. And until we see you again, I pray that God will meet you everywhere that you desire him always.